which we get very heated about.
Oh, the tie. Okay, you're going to see. Mark's got the tie-ins on this one all over the place.
Yes. My lips are numb because I've already tried this and it is a hot one. Also, we talk a lot about ways that the Landlord-Tenant board can improve the process for both sides because there is a lot of areas of improvement.
Yeah. I thought you were going to do one last one, but that's good.
One last what?
One last tie-in.
Oh, I'm out. I got all. Yeah, it's a little bit of a long one in this episode. Friendly reminder, if you want to skip to any sections that we talk about, we have chapters. So whether you're watching it on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Music, scroll down to the bottom. You can see the different topics we get into. Or just listen to it all.
Yeah.
Because we put our heart and soul into this.
Absolutely.
And leave a comment. Apparently we need comments.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, leave a comment.
Yeah.
A good comment. Yeah. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Toronto Livings Podcast, a conversation about all things Toronto with a focus on real estate, the culture, and of course, the food.
I'm Mark Savel.
And I'm Joey Virgilio.
And we're realtors with Sage Real Estate working together as a Toronto Livings team with a focus on helping you buy better, sell higher, and of course, having a little bit of fun along the way.
Hello, Mark.
Hey, Joey.
We're episode 63.
We are.
I got it right this time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I needed that pat on the back.
This is, I had fun doing this one, writing this one up.
Yeah, this was a good, you know what this was? A good vent session.
An extremely good vent session. And I think everyone could relate to this because at some point or other, if you live in Toronto, you've heard or dealt with the frustrations of the landlord and tenant board.
Yes. We're diving in. We're diving into some solutions, some ideas, I'll say. Suggestions to fix the landlord-tenant board, as well as some extra tidbits of stuff that we've learned over the last little bit and just kind of want to bring to light.
I like that. Sharing some insight from the crazy stories we've experienced.
Yes.
Cool, man. Well, shall we, as we always do?
Let's do it.
How was your week? Where'd you eat?
My favorite question of the week. No, this was a pretty tamer week.
Okay.
But there's a new place that I tried out this week that's opened up right near me. Yonge and Eglinton, pretty much almost right on Yonge and Eglinton.
Heart of the city.
It is Jaffa.
Should we call it the stomach of the city?
Okay, because the heart would be, I'm assuming, what would you consider the heart?
That's a great question. I think publicly people think Yonge Dundas is the heart of the city.
Okay.
Maybe Yonge and Bloor.
Okay.
Geographically, it's actually like Eglinton and Dufferin if you measured it out with a pin.
Yeah. Put a human body on top of the city.
Well, not anatomically correctly speaking, but if you measured I did that once. It was Eglinton and Dufferin-ish is kind of the center.
Ah, gotcha.
But you did ask heart. So probably if I had to guess, I would say Bayview and Shepherd. It's
where the heart would
is
lie.
the anatomical heart of the city. If it's sitting perpendicular,
flip them upside down, then it's a whole different place.
Here it's Etobicoke, Cloverdale Mall is the heart of the city, depending on which way you lay that body. But I like the stomach of the city is Yonge and Eglinton because you got so many good food spots.
Yeah, you know what? It's and it keeps bringing more in.
Yeah,
it's actually right across from us. We're getting an impact kitchen.
Oh,
and I think it's called Nut Bar.
Yeah.
And the same thing in on that Adelaide strip.
By Othership.
Yeah, by Othership. Yeah, there's an impact kitchen on one side and a Nut Bar. Are they related in companies?
I don't know.
Whatever they're doing, they're partnering up across the streets.
I'm going to congratulate you on your early bankruptcy because Impact Kitchen is so expensive.
Yeah, I'm so worried about it.
That's my once a year treat. I'm I feel rich today. I'm going to go to Impact Kitchen.
That's how I feel about Fresh. That's Fresh to me.
Agreed.
Fresh is an amazing meal, but oh my God, yeah, you go if you're ready to break the bank and you feel like you just did a really good workout and you're ready to break the bank.
And you come from a trust fund family and you have one monocle that you wear when you go grocery shopping.
Yeah. Or the Monopoly guy is with you,
treating you. You passed go, collect Freshie. Love it. Sorry, I took you off your point there.
Right. Okay. So yeah, we're talking about Jaffa, which is a new place. And when it first opened up, it has this bright orange sign. So there's if anybody knows the area, there's Duke of Kent, which has got that. They just redid their exterior and they painted everything fresh green. And I was looking at the corner of it and I was like, I love that. I just love the exterior of it. It just draws me to it.
That's Roehampton and Eglinton.
Yeah, exactly. And then right beside it,
Roehampton and Yonge.
And Young, yeah.
Right beside it, yeah.
And then right beside it, Jaffa shows up. And Jaffa is this it's like shawarma, pretty much. And it's got this bright orange sign. I kept walking past it being like, why would they choose that? They just refinished and then they're going to choose this. And then I went in it and I was actually like, this is a really good spot. So I'm going to shout out Jaffa today. And if you go into Jaffa and you order yourself a shawarma, you can get a pita, a lafa, or a bowl.
Okay.
Do yourself a favor and get the lafa.
What's a lafa?
It is an actual it's like a shawarma basically. You get an actual pita that it's on.
Okay.
But the pita is it's just like a little pita that they open up.
Oh, like a small, like you cut it and fill it.
Yes.
And the Jaffa?
Jaffa. No, the lafa.
The lafa from Jaffa. Oh man, it's a nice big pita.
It's a nice big pita. Yeah, it's delicious, and I really, really recommend. The falafel was incredible.
Okay.
I tried the chicken as I always do, but the falafel is 100% worth it. They also have freshly squeezed orange juice that you can buy.
Hey.
Yeah.
Big fan of OJ on this podcast.
That's hence the orange sign and orange everything. Yeah.
Okay, so Jaffa on Young.
Shout out Jaffa on Young. Yeah, you did.
Shout out on Jaffa. Try the lafa.
Boom.
Talk to you after.
Yeah. How about yours? Actually, there was so many other things that happened this weekend.
So many things happened. Yeah. I do want to kind of do an ode to another, the stomach of the city. Yeah. Midnight Cookies reached out to us.
That's right. Yeah.
They reached out to us, and we were commenting on your pralines and cream ice cream choice. They informed me that in fact they do add ice cream.
This makes me so happy.
Yeah.
This makes me so happy.
Soft serve.
Which is even better.
Yeah.
Even more dangerous.
Absolutely.
But even better. So
for those who've not tried Midnight Cookies yet, it's a highly suggested Joey recommendation.
Absolutely.
And you can now get soft serve on top of it as well. So funny thing, so whenever we record a podcast before we go live, Adriana the wife, asks like, what'd you guys talk about? I'm like, oh, Joey found this cookie place. Oh, you'll never guess the flavors. And she's like, what did he get? A snickerdoodle? And I'm like, yeah. How come I've never heard of this word snickerdoodle in my life? I thought it was Snickers on a cookie. And she's like, no, that's what a cookie is. So she does what she always does when she wants to prove me wrong. She goes, hey, Google, what's a snickerdoodle? And essentially Google put me on this long rabbit hole of what a snickerdoodle actually is.
Okay, because I didn't even know how to explain it when we were sitting here.
I mean, you did a pretty good job. They're sugar cookies.
Okay.
That's what you kind of described
as. It had cinnamon or something on it.
Sugar cookies with cinnamon. That is your quintessential snickerdoodle.
Nailed it.
So Chef Joey comes through again. However, some food historians argue that sugar cookie recipes use baking powder to leaven the cookies, while snickerdoodles use the very classy cream of tartare.
Oh. So it is an elevated cookie, is what you're telling me.
I would expect nothing less from Joey's elevated palate. Snickerdoodle a la crème tartare.
It is matured. It has matured.
Now, fair warning, if you do use this tartare, cookies are known to have a slightly tangy flavor. Did you experience any tanginess?
Well, there was a lot of ice cream on top of it. So it might have mellowed it out a little bit. So regardless of the case, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, okay. I would say so. Some tang is in there.
Okay, I like that. There's some naming conventions. Apparently it was once called a snipdoodle. But I like snickerdoodle.
Snickerdoodle is, and again, I was the same as you. When it was ordered, I thought it was going to be chocolate bars.
Snickers over it. Yeah, snickerdoodle, but it isn't. And snickerdoodles are a highly sought after cookie, and a big recommendation from Joey is to get it from Midnight Cookies.
Midnight Cookie.
Three Manor.
Yeah.
And apparently Evan Sage from Sage Real Estate said they do sell out relatively quickly.
Do they?
Apparently.
All right, good to know.
So
they bake them fresh, man. Every time I've had them, they've been like, the middle is still warm and they get delivered.
There you go.
So,
I mean, that's if you support the Uber delivery system, which I am vehemently against.
More in a sense that they take the time to deliver it and it is still warm by the time it gets to me.
There's a convenient way of getting these cookies if you want them.
That's fresh.
I respect that. But that wasn't even anything to do with what I ate this week, because what I ate this week was the treat of all treats.
Let's hear it.
We finally went out on Lake Ontario.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we need to talk about this.
Yes. Myself, Joey the Swan, and my dad, Jimmy the Rock God. We ventured with Captain Tal from Real Rush Adventures. We conquered Lake Ontario at 5 a.m.
5 a.m, yeah.
We were sitting out in the middle of Lake Ontario hunting some salmon. Unfortunately, we did not catch salmon, but we caught a lot of beautiful trout.
We got some good trout and one small Atlantic salmon.
One small Atlantic at the end there.
Yeah.
We didn't have much luck by the shore. We fished out of Oakville, so we went, and I did not know this, into 300-foot depths of Lake Ontario.
Yeah, I didn't realize
How deep it gets.
Yeah. I mean, in general, I didn't realize. First off, I didn't realize how the fishing is in Lake Ontario.
How stacked.
Yeah. To expect that, I didn't expect it.
Agreed. And you caught the fish of the day.
You know what? I am happy about that.
Yeah. How'd you find that? Was that quite the experience? Like the mussels and everything?
You know what? It's so funny. You told me originally, you were like, I'm so exhausted from fishing. Like my muscles are tired, my back hurts. And I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Anyways, I can vouch for this now. It's exhausting because you're it's just like the consistency especially when your line is like 800 feet out, whatever it is.
Yeah, you the one you pulled in was I think 600 plus feet.
Yeah, and you're just sitting there being like, oh my god. Yeah, after a while you're like, hey, and you're jabbing your
pelvic
hip
bone. Yeah.
And so you got to yank it up, and there's a specific move that you got to do. You have to like yank it up and then reel down, but keep the tension all the way through.
That's right.
And so you're like concentrated on mechanics, but it's also like it kind of feels awkward when you're doing it. And then lo and behold, I had
you landed a beautiful trout.
I did, and biceps were sore. Well, the one bicep was sore.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like that was a great day, but it wasn't in terms of fishing numbers like a highly efficient day. Like we've caught 30 in one time.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
So when you said you were tired, I get
30 fish we caught. The average weight was at least 10 pounds, and the biggest we caught was 18 pounds.
Crazy. 18 pounds.
Or 17.75.
We did, ours were around what, 5'6"?
5-6 pounds, yeah. But Captain Tal, first of all, I'm going to put his contact info below. He is truly a gem of a guy. Yeah. He explained everything to us.
Yep.
He really had you guys working the lines and greasing the baits and getting everything going. So he's an incredible guy to go out with. If you've never fished before, what did you bring with you?
Nothing. My sweater and a pair of shorts.
And a fishing license.
Yes. Otherwise, it was like he has everything. He sets it up for you.
Yep.
And then once a fish is on the line, you're good to go. You pull it in and you get the work done yourself.
He runs you through the technique. He tells you what to do, helps you land it. I don't think we lost any fish.
We didn't.
We landed all that got on
came
the hook.
Through. Yeah.
So that was good. And he filleted one of the trouts that you caught.
Yes.
The big boy. So we took it home with us. Chef Adri whipped it up. Buddy. Fantastic.
It looked like it was cooked to perfection.
We air fried it. She put her special seasoning on it. We did the air fryer technique. And it was, like, fish obviously has a fishy taste. Not this.
Lake Ontario.
Who would have thunk?
Not me.
Yeah.
Not me.
Fantastic fish. Yeah. It was like more of a white fish. It was delicious tasting. Didn't have that fishy flavor at all. And definitely going to catch more. Definitely going to eat more. It was
100%.
And there's something about it. Like you literally within 24 hours, what we caught, we ate. Like it's just, I don't know, something special about it. I'm not going to get into it. It was just really good.
Yeah, no, love it. That's, I'm glad we made one into the stomachs. We did catch and release for the rest.
Yeah, we they weren't really big enough to really keep, and better to put it back. But that one, he was like, oh, no, this one you got to harvest.
That's worth it.
It's proper. Yeah. So we did that. Do you want to share the Virgilio secret on how to get rid of the fish smell from fish? The alleged Virgilio secret?
Yeah, this is the secret, all right? So supposedly I learned this afterwards, and I was told that you have to soak it in milk for a day or two.
Or two.
And then apparently that gets rid of the fishy flavor. So when Mark had sent that picture to me, I was like, did you soak it in milk? He was like, what are you talking about?
Because I feel like if you soak anything in milk, you'll take the smell out of it.
Yes, yeah. It's fish cereal. It's basically fish cereal.
Fish cereal.
That's what I like to refer to it as. I've never heard of it. I've never done it, but I got told by my mom.
Okay, well, it's a Virgilio recipe.
Yeah.
And we'll if anyone's tried soaking their fish in milk, please let us know. Does this work?
I would like to know if this is just an us thing or if this is an everybody thing.
The real McCoy. I like that. Cool. I'm good with that. You want to move on to news we can use?
Let's do it.
All right.
News you can use.
I'm saying that because...
Oh, that's the roll in. Go ahead.
Well, the exhibition is here.
The exhibition is here.
The end of summer is near.
When did it start?
Friday night.
Friday night.
Yep.
Did you go?
Nope.
Okay.
I will go.
Yeah.
I'm a big X guy.
Yeah.
Once a year.
Every year.
Yeah. You as well?
Normally.
Okay.
Normally. I think we're going to go this year. I'm going to have to pull Molly out though.
Okay.
She had, I was talking to her about it and she was like, there's just too many people. Okay. We'll ease into it. I'll see if
She's not wrong.
There's so many people.
So many people.
Yeah. But I have to try something weird at the food terminal. It's just, or the food court or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just a part of it.
Well, do you want to know what they're serving this year?
Let's hear it.
Wasabi flavored soft serve ice cream, topped with orange sugar pearls and roasted seaweed. Who the heck came up with that?
I do not know. Oh my God.
A New York style tzatziki cheesecake.
Tzatziki cheesecake.
Could be good.
I could be into that one.
I think that's my most
that's the one that's
intrigued.
Yep.
Yeah. Mac and Cheetos popsicle, and then they have a deep fried butter chicken lasagna. Not bad.
I might be into that one. Deep fried chicken. I'm like real torn about that one.
Deep fried butter chicken lasagna.
The mac and Cheetos popsicle will absolutely never touch my lips.
That shows lips. I like that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's New York style tzatziki.
Tzatziki cheesecake?
So far as number one, and I'll put butter chicken lasagna. I don't know if I'm going to be into that one, but we'll see.
Well, since we're on the topic of unique food items, when we were fishing, Jimmy the Rock God divulged that he's released his latest batch of super hot sauce.
Yes.
And
I've got the description of this one, which is, so supposedly the one that we had the very first time, if you did watch that one, it was the peppers that are usually used, which I forget the name of the pepper.
Oh, he uses habanero, ghost pepper.
So it's a big mixture.
They're all garden grown in his backyard.
Love it. But then there's also filler that gets added to it. And he chops up regular bell peppers and for flavor.
Goes to Tony No Frills.
Yeah.
He buys whatever he can.
But this one, there's two additions to this hot sauce that is going to make this a lot worse. We'll see how it pans out. But supposedly there's crossbreeding within the pepper.
Yes.
So there's now, peppers are now breeding together and making a hotter pepper.
Yeah.
Secondly, there was no room because of the amount of peppers for filler. So we're officially at the peak this sounds like it's going to be much rougher than the first time around.
This is Jimmy the Rock God's No Filler Hot Sauce 2024 edition. I believe Carolina Reapers are crossbred with some other insanely hot pepper.
Yeah.
All grown in his backyard, all carefully manicured and watered. And I think he sings to them some days if he's in a good mood. So
I could see that.
I mean, without further ado, I want to present you with the No Fill 2024. No Frills, No Fill 2024.
Yeah.
Jimmy the Rock God's hot sauce. Would you like to give it a little?
By the way, we didn't talk about this beforehand. This was, it was just when I walked in the door, he was like, you want to try the hot sauce?
Yeah. And you don't have to. We could save it for another episode.
No. We're going to do this.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do this because I've already agreed to it. But I feel like we should. Yeah, it needs to be done.
Okay.
It needs to be done.
I'll let you crack that open. I'm going to get you some water and we'll see what's going on there.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to set this up. We'll do a little crop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a little crop out.
Sure. Okay, so we've got it all prepped. Joey has very carefully mixed the oils with the peppers. We did the sniff test. It didn't smell.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
All right, I'm just going to do.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's a healthy amount.
All right.
All right, here it goes.
All right, round two.
Joey the Swan, Jimmy the Rock God.
Once every couple episodes, let's do this.
Okay, it is in the mouth. It is on the tongue. Ooh.
Swashed it around.
Ooh.
Down the hatch. Okay, it's definitely got more kick than the last one. Oh. Okay, yeah. It's got more kick. The flavor, I still love the flavor.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Is this being gifted to me? I'm hearing noises coming out of me right now.
It is being gifted to you. You can keep that.
Oh my God, it's delicious. It is definitely hotter than the last round.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm gonna take that water.
Please, if you need more, I got more water.
No, this is good. That's a good healthy kick.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's more hesitation in this go at it than there was the last time.
I went in a little more confident than last time too.
Your voice is cracking a bit there. Oh.
No, that's good. That's a good healthy kick. And again, the flavor is amazing. I'm gonna polish this really quickly again. Oh my God. Shout out Jimmy the Rock God.
Dad, you can hear that?
Oh my God.
Joey's a fan.
A huge fan. Yeah, this is like this should be hitting shelves.
Hey, if you got it in, I could pump this out.
Let's do it, man.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Love it. Amazing. Yeah.
You look
10 out of 10. Yeah, a little bit of tears.
You look pain. You look like you're in pain. You need more water.
Yeah, I'll do one more sip.
Do your thing. Yeah. I don't want to lose a co-host and a friend and a partner here. Oh gosh.
Amazing. Yeah, that's killer. Good. That's a good kick.
So should we be opening up a booth at the exhibition and selling?
Let's do this.
All right, we're gonna 2025.
2025.
We're coming.
We got crossbreed, no fill.
Crossbreed, no fill. Jimmy the Rock God's pepper sauce. I love it. Back to the exhibition. Classic Championship Wrestling's coming.
Sorry, say that again.
I think you're in the delusional state of the hot sauce. They are bringing classic Championship Wrestling to the CNE. Every single day there will be wrestling that you could watch live.
Get out of here.
Swear to God.
Oh, I'm so pumped about that.
I'll tell you who some of the people.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. Do you remember Jimmy Hart, the mouth from the South?
Jimmy Hart, like part of the Hart family?
Yeah, he was the promo guy, the mouth from the South.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I don't remember that name, the mouth from the South.
When you see the picture of him, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He's going to be there. Tito Santana, who I don't know.
I don't know.
And Jerry the King Lawler.
Ooh.
Mr. Slobberknocker himself will be there.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, man, at the Axe?
Actually, JR is Slobberknocker. Jerry the King Lawler is not Slobberknocker. Jerry the King Lawler is the guy who walks around with the crown.
With the crown, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be there. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So check the schedule because there's different days when they're showing up.
So this is, you see this? This is how I'm going to convince Molly in.
See? I got your back. Now, before you do that, old woman Molly came out. I'm going to give you a taste of old man Mark.
Okay.
Because the first thing I did, and I swear it's an age thing, was I asked how much are prices to get into the X this year. Like that's all I cared about. $26.55 if you're an adult.
Okay.
$22.12 if you're over 65 or under 13.
20. Okay.
And kids under 4 are free.
Okay.
So if you can make yourself look under 4.
No problem.
Get in for free.
We'll do the shoes, the shoes on the knees situation.
The Little Rascal style. Yeah. However, if you want the VIP experience for the low price of $1,196, 4 people can get the VIP exhibition experience.
What is this?
You get the ride. You get to skip the lines. So you get to ride the ride pass.
Actually, that's pretty solid.
Do you ride the rides?
No, because the lines are too long.
Oh, I don't ride them because they look friggin'...
They're terrifying.
Yeah.
As to the thrill.
I guess. You live life on the edge, man. You get a private space. You get a prestigious space in the Withrow Common Gallery where you're served Prosecco or wine, and it's air conditioned. And you also receive 2 non-alcoholic drink tickets, a $50 meal voucher, and you get to watch your favorite bands at the band show up close. VIP seating.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a round for 4.
It's about $300 a person.
Heavy duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a heavy
And you
duty.
can't buy 1. You have to buy 4.
Heavy duty ticket price.
$1,200.
Is it worth it? I guess up to you to decide.
I mean, probably not. I'll tell you what I go there for. This is my ex routine.
Let's do it.
Get the corn dog. First of all, is it corn dog or is it a pogo stick?
I don't know.
I grew up on pogo stick.
Pogo stick rings to me. Like that's what I would.
Age calls them corn dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, the ex calls them corn dogs.
I go back and forth.
Back and forth.
Well, truthfully, I thought there might have been a difference.
No, I mean, we could dig deep on the next episode. Yeah. Corn dog, pogo stick, whatever you call it. I get my ice cream sandwich. And if I'm feeling really adventurous, I get the knockoff Tiny Tom donuts.
That I know. That one I remember from last time.
Yeah.
Tiny Tom donuts.
Yeah, the knockoff. Tiny Tom donuts, several locations. You're waiting for like 3 hours to get in.
Yeah.
If you do the knockoff, it's quick and easy.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that note. My routine usually goes, we walk around in a circle, look at stuff that we're not going to do or do anything with, and then eventually just make it into the food court and try to decide which weird thing we're going to eat. And then that usually sums it up and wraps up our day.
Head home after that, call it a night. Do you play games?
Every once in a while. If it's an open, easy slot to get into, Whack-A-Mole, which I did win last time, by the way.
Fan favorite, like that.
And yeah, that's all we did.
I like the spray gun game.
Spray gun game is also good.
Yeah.
It all boils down to did you nail it on the very first shot? If it hits right away,
Then you're good.
then you're good.
I kind of like the bowling game where it goes over the humps.
Yeah.
Even if you've tried that, it's actually quite. It's like 25 cents to play it.
I've never. Yeah.
Probably a little bit more expensive now, but Yeah.
Most likely. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to like let the bowling ball roll without it hitting the buzzer.
There's also the dish breaking game, like where you throw
Also,
a baseball.
Looks fun, but really hard.
I did it.
You did it.
I did it.
Amazing.
I think I don't remember what was the outcome.
Yeah.
But it is fun just to like throw stuff at plates.
Great plates. I'm with you on that. Which is probably a good segue into what we're going to talk about, because I think a lot of plates have been broken over this topic.
The transitional. You're on fire with the transitions today.
The landlord-tenant board is a soft spot in many people's hearts.
Yeah.
An angry spot, rather.
Yeah.
Where there seems to be a lot of frustration about this government agency and how long it takes to get your case heard, get a resolution found. And we're not even talking about the fairness. We're just talking about getting in front of them.
Yeah.
Is a complete nightmare. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about ways, simple ways, easy ways they could really improve the system and make it a better experience for everyone.
Yeah.
Because in Ontario, it is
it's rough.
It's rough
for something that's already very tension heavy as a topic, and as usually a situation whenever there's a landlord and tenant relationship, it already starts off. I wouldn't say it already starts off rocky, but there's always this immediate conception of like, are they what you get the feel for what the other side's going to be like.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're talking about finding a body that does disputes and deals with these when problems actually start escalating. We need a better job. We need a better job across the board.
Time for an overhaul.
Yeah.
We got to overhaul the system.
It's so costly. This is housing.
Yes.
It's so costly, and it can ruin people financially.
Yep.
It can ruin people's like living situations on the other side of the tenant. Like your actual home housing can feel hostile. It's just like, it's not good for anybody. It's better if these things just get resolved quickly.
Yep.
And it is brutal that it takes the time that it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to maybe start with a little bit of a taboo subject, because I think there's an unspoken sentiment towards tenants and landlords.
Yeah.
And I spent some time really thinking about this. I'm just going to come out and say it. You're not poor if you rent. I think there's this unspoken feeling of like renters are below owners, and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with your financial well-being. It could in some cases, but it's not a blanket statement to apply to all. And I think that's something that we need to just, when we're talking about this subject, this isn't meant to be like, well, landlords deserve more because they're owners and somehow on the totem pole of life they're above. That's not the case.
Yeah.
In fact, I even read a Forbes article that since 2015, the amount of millionaire renters has increased exponentially.
Right.
So Mark Zuckerberg famously rented for a long period of time. This is not about wealth.
Yep.
This is about someone's choice. And you may choose to rent for a variety of reasons. You don't want to be locked into a place forever. You're transitional. You're going to be in a place for a year. You move into another country. Whatever the case is,
Yep.
Let's just put that aside for a second. You're not poor if you rent.
Yes.
And on the other side of the coin, you're not a trillionaire if you're a landlord.
Yeah, this point I think is what is so commonly misunderstood or just overlooked. Yes. If you own a home, it does not mean that you have endless buckets of money you can pull from.
Absolutely.
90% of the rental market at the moment is filled with these landlords that might have one extra property, maybe two extra properties, that if one goes a wrong direction can like topple them financially.
They're mom and pop investors.
Yes.
And maybe therein lies the problem, that this landlord tenant board looks at the institutional, think high-rise building, entire building block rental forms. That's maybe why these rules were created, but they need to be adapted to address the everyday occurrences of mom and pop landlords and, we'll call them mom and pop renters.
Yeah.
Like, this needs to be kind of, I think, a two-tier system or a separate arm that looks at these in a much more expedited way.
Yeah.
I don't think the two forms should be under the same government agency.
Right.
That's kind of what I brought from it, because as you said it right, like, it's not like landlords are throwing $100 bills to heat their houses in the winter. Like, these are often people who bought a second property either for their retirement or for their kids' future or something along that lines. They're not these institutional landlords.
No, it's not a corporation that you're renting from that just have endless piles they can pull from. It's people that are stretching themselves likely a little bit more just to try to prepare for their future. Like, that's normally what you're bumping into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's so funny is, like, so both sides of the coin, tenants and landlords, probably have the same end goal in game. You would buy a place as a investment property for your future. And if you're renting, you might be doing that so you can save more money into your investment portfolio.
Yep.
So both are with the intent of bettering their future.
Yep.
The problem is when there's a conflict between the two of them, the government agency you have to go to get clarity on is a complete shit show.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a mess. It's very typical. Now, COVID's done. There's no COVID backlog with the landlord-tenant board. I don't believe that line at all because it's been a mess for as long as I could have been in the business. And I've gone to the board a few times with other clients and I've seen firsthand. I remember the first time I went there, I was like, this is like a daycare. Like it's a zoo. It's completely chaotic and there's not much process. Anyhow, the point I'm trying to make is if you do have a dispute, you're looking at least 9 months. If you do everything correct, which we'll get into, at least 9 months, dude, we can create babies in less time it takes to get our cases resolved. And I'm sure there's pressures that the agency is facing, and I'm not blaming the agency per se, but I think there needs to be a serious conversation about funding it further and putting more money into backing them and giving the support they need to run this agency more effectively. We
need to speed up. The time is not even, it's not even a question of, is this okay? Because it's absolutely insane. 9 months is you're talking about like 90% of a year. How much money can get piled up by that point of unpaid rent or of unpaid or just a dispute not resolved, even from a tenant side of things? Like, what if the landlord's messing with you? You cannot get your hearing until 9 months from that day. It's brutal for both sides. It's not just one-sided. I know a lot of news headlines are tenants taking advantage of this situation, but it really isn't good for anybody, either side.
Which is our first point: speed up the process.
Yes.
Because Joey, as you eloquently put it, both sides need a resolution found. It's not just landlords looking for rent to be collected. You could have a place where the furnace is broken and your landlord's unresponsive.
Yep.
Well, you're going to wait 9 months. That's 3 seasons in Toronto they're going to pass before you even are heard.
Right.
Absolutely crazy.
No, it makes no sense. We just need a big overhaul in terms of we need a bunch of money so we can hire more people so that we can speed this whole process up, or we need to start sectioning things off a little bit more efficiently so that we're talking about like these are the urgent ones, these are the non-urgent ones. Because right now, if I'm not mistaken, the way that it works is if you have an urgent matter, you can apply to have that heard quicker.
Yeah.
So you're still going through the same. It's not like you're just asking for a quicker time period, but it's not guaranteed. And I don't know how successful that would be if it's not really, urgent compared to the rest of the stuff that they're working on, but it is an urgent matter in terms of like what you're actually dealing with. So like, maybe there needs to be just sectioned off in terms of this, these are the things that need to be dealt with quickly. And then here are the things that can be pushed a little bit further out.
Yeah.
Allocate people into different time, I guess, areas of importance.
I'll share a real life example that we just currently went through. One of our clients, January 1st, the tenant decided he's not paying anymore.
Right.
Stopping paying. He did not pay for 6 months. Bought a dog. Dog was in the basement, completely pissed all over the place. I'm talking the floors were completely ruined. There's no salvaging.
Right.
Everything had to be ripped out down to the bottom and replaced and sanitized and cleaned. And it was a lengthy, expensive process.
Yep.
It took her 6 months to get a hearing. And even then, the tenant had an opportunity to put himself in good standing order to continue the rent.
Right.
She didn't even bother going after him for the damage because God knows how long that would take. It was cut your losses and move on.
Yeah.
But this is the reality of the system. When you hear as a landlord or a tenant that there's a 10-month, 9-month, whatever it is, backlog, you're instantly unmotivated to even attempt it.
Right.
But let's say you are. Let's say you say, you know what, I'm going to stick this out because what's right is right and I want my case heard in front of the landlord-tenant board. We get into problem number 2. The naming conventions of these forms.
I love this point.
What the hell were these people thinking when they came up with the conventions of these forms?
I don't know. I do not know.
We need to make these forms a lot easier to understand.
Yeah. If you've ever been a part of this, you're hearing people talk about N12, N11, T1, T4.
L5,
yeah.
L3.
They have no relation to what's actually happening.
Are these characters from the Terminator saga? T1000? Or are these forms necessary to get your case heard? It is such a simple fix of just bringing some clarity to what forms are needed.
Yeah.
and the naming conventions we come up with them.
I don't know how these got named in the first place. Like it's just the order that they came, like the idea hit them.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, it's like a COVID strain, COVID N117. Okay, let's roll with it. What?
Yeah, the amount of times I've had the conversation, it's so funny because like I can see, you say the term of the actual form, but because they're always referred to these things, every time I've somebody needs to give a notice of termination, it's always like, all right, just make sure you send the N11 or the N12 or no wait, the N11. You know what? Let me just look it up and I'm going to send you it.
Right, and it becomes this constant battle of trying to figure which correct form needs to be used for your situation.
Yeah.
Well. Thankfully, and this is so serendipitous, I love my newsletters.
Yeah.
I love subscribing to people's newsletters. There's a lawyer in Toronto, Zachary, I might mess your last name up, Socio Marandola.
Okay.
I'm going to put a link down. He is a great resource to be subscribed to. Every Friday, he sends out a newsletter. I find them highly knowledgeable and full of great tidbits and little things you pick up along the way. He's also identified the frustration with these naming conventions and created a flowchart.
Oh, convenient.
This is what it's come down to. He's created a flowchart so you can say, if this, then that.
Oh my God.
If yes, move to B. If no, move to C. And it's quite comprehensive. It's quite easy to understand. It's very.
That's going to be an important one. We're gonna definitely attach.
We are linking to that. He's got the 2024, and so I'm going to play a little game with you, and you're going to have to guess what you do next. Okay. You want to increase your rent. So the secondary question you ask yourself is the rent increase within the annual guidelines? Mm-hmm. Yes or no?
Is that the first question? You're asking me if I'm, yes.
Yes. So what do you serve?
You serve I don't know the number of it, the notice to increase rent.
N1.
N1, okay.
You serve an N1. So what if your rent increase is not? Then what do you do?
Am I the landlord or am I the
You're the landlord. Yeah.
And it's not within the guidelines.
Yeah.
Then you serve, there's a different form. No, it's the same form.
No, it's a different form. You're serving a firm N10, and then you have to file with the board an L5 to have the hearing heard for an increase above and beyond.
This is if you're in the guidelines and you want to increase it more than...
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe that was a confusing one. Let's do an easier one.
Okay.
The tenant has damaged the unit. Okay. So the first question you ask yourself is the tenant still in the unit?
Okay.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, what do you serve them?
The form?
Form N5.
N5, okay.
And then you have to file an L2.
With Landlord-Tenant board.
With a Landlord-Tenant board.
Okay.
Now, if they're not in the unit, you don't have to serve anything, but you have to file an L10.
Okay.
With the Landlord-Tenant board.
An L10?
Yeah.
And see, I've already forgotten the first two.
I don't know what any of these forms mean because it is such a convoluted naming mechanism.
Yeah.
But needless to say, Zachary has created a very well-intentioned flowchart. It's 11-page PDF.
I'm going to be attaching this to a lot of emails.
Yes.
This is going to be a flowchart I'm absolutely sending to landlords that have asked me questions about this stuff.
Completely confusing. Thank you, Zachary, for making everyone's lives a little bit easier.
Yeah. Praise be, Zachary.
Praise be, Zachary. Landlord-Tenant board, if you're listening, please let's come up with some easier naming conventions.
Yeah. Or maybe don't let third parties come up with flowcharts. Maybe you should be putting that out.
Hey, there's a solution. And this is why this point is so crucial. Because if you have any type of error, either in the form that you filled out, the form you used, the form you filed, your case is dismissed, baby.
Yep. This is so brutal. So you're waiting. You've put your files in. You follow the flow chart, so you know you're on the right track. And then your hearing finally comes 7-8 months later, and you walk up to the podium and you to give your spiel. And what happens is, or you're on a Zoom call, I guess, I don't know, they're doing a lot of virtual stuff now, but then you find out your date that you've put in is, you put the month in the wrong spot and the day in the wrong spot. Dismissed. We'll have to redo it whenever, you need to resubmit and we'll just start again.
Let's chill out with minor errors. Because let's be real here, mistakes happen.
Yep.
Mistakes happen. And in any other form of business, when a mistake happens, we take a pause and we correct it. It's not dismissed. Back of the pile, buddy. This is where so much frustration comes from, is like there is no common sense applied.
No, it's like it runs through its process, and if you're not in the exact guidelines of that process, you get kicked to the curb.
Yeah.
Because there's another person right behind you that has to be dealt with. Absolutely brutal. And yeah, could you imagine your tenant's been there? Your tenant's been there for since January 1st, not paying any rent, and then you screwed up one little minor tweak.
Yep.
You got the next 6 months to have them do the same thing.
This is a very, very big problem with the process. So much so that we are, as realtors, strongly advised not to ever fill these out for our clients because we could be the ones liable for their dismissal.
Absolutely.
You talk to several paralegals, they'll all tell them, have us, the paralegal, fill it out or have your client fill it out. But if the client's filling out, make sure they triple, quadruple check that because one mistake, dismissed.
Yeah, it's so funny how that works too. It's so brutal and how it costs you so much money. One little mistake.
And I think we're talking about this, or I'm speaking about this from the angle of the landlord, because maybe there's a little bit of feelings that a landlord might be a little bit more educated with the system and the forms to fill out. But if you're a tenant, you are, in my opinion, completely lost with what this process looks like. And it's highly likely you'll make a mistake.
That's another piece of the puzzle.
Right? So if you're a tenant who's complaining about the heat not working for whatever, the winter months, and now your case is not heard, and unfortunately you didn't have the means or resources to know what has to happen, like that can't be the case. There's got to be a little bit more common sense here.
Yes. Yeah. The rules need to be a little bit clearer. They did it, ever since they put out the standard form, I think at least there's a little more transparency with the way that some of the stuff works.
Agreed.
So I will tip my hat to that standard form that got put out. I think that was probably for the best. Yeah. But it's true that it is one-sided in terms of how this actually processes out and tenants not knowing nearly as much as the landlords, because the landlords are the ones that usually are filing stuff and tenants don't.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's definitely more landlords that are using the landlord-tenant board.
Yeah.
But it's common sense.
Yeah.
I think like small errors, if you can if you can show the actual, let's say you got the address wrong, you put the wrong avenue instead of street, and you can show proof of what it is. Okay, great. Makes sense. Small error, initial the change, move on. This doesn't need to be a whole restart of the process. I think.
Yeah, totally.
And this one is what really gets me. Tighter rules for evictions if rent is late. There needs to be tighter rules for eviction.
Yeah.
This week on Global News, I heard a story where a tenant has not paid rent on a Mississauga condo for 4 years.
I don't even know how that's possible that gets dragged out for that long.
They know the system. This person, from the sounds of it, knows the system and knows how to prolong the process. Thankfully, this landlord, and it was exactly what we said, he had bought a secondary property for his retirement, for him and his wife. They worked their whole lives off, saving up, took on this process. I mean, let's just talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
The whole concept of renting is bizarre when you really take a philosophical look at it. I, the owner of a multi-million-dollar asset, and giving you the right to live in it with the system that has so few protections for myself.
Right.
And I think more and more landlords are coming to this realization and getting more hesitant to, do we even really want to play this game?
Right.
And in a city that's dealing with a housing crisis,
I
think this is why the Landlord-Tenant Board needs to be looked at a little bit closer, and some strong revisions need to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like remembering that landlords are also the mom and pop landlords that are buying these condos that you're renting, that are adding to the much needed supply of rental housing.
Correct.
Are the ones that are there. That's exactly what they're doing.
They're providing the supply for the city.
Yeah. So, and it's not a hierarchy thing. It's just a matter of like, this is what's needed for the city. So we're here, we've saved up, we're planning for our future X and whatever else. Now we're putting it on the market, and you're shafting us for doing so.
Absolutely.
And you're absolutely right. I've had lots of conversations with people, of people saying, actually even recently, should I even rent it out, or should I just, once I get the keys to my pre-con, should I just get rid of it?
Because it's happening more and more often.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see, unless this gets addressed, more people being like, whoa, this is not an environment I want to operate in when there's so few protections I as a landlord have if someone decides to stop paying rent. So let's kind of tie this all together nicely. $1 million asset given to a stranger, trusted and protected trusted to be paying rent and keeping the place clean. Imagine what Rogers would do to me if I didn't pay my cell phone bill, my simple cell phone bill.
Easy.
Of 4 years. Do you think they would constantly keep taking me to the Cell Phone Tenant Board Act? Being like, oh, we really want to collect their money here, but we understand the laws are the laws. Absolutely not. I'd have collections calls up the yin yang. Yep. I'd lose my phone. I'd be phoneless.
Yep.
How can I tweet? How can I check Instagram? Like, And what's just mind-boggling to me is we have all these protections for these telecom companies and the banks and all these other things. But when it comes to a rental scenario, it's like, we'll talk to you in 10 months. If the case makes sense, there'll be another 4 to 5 months before we even evict the person.
Yeah.
And God knows what your place is going to look like when you do go through that process.
Yeah, it's so brutal. It's so brutal. It's so backwards to think about. And like, you remember, even as tenants, like, you know, again, we're talking 90% of these people are mom and pops. 90% of them are, most of them that I've dealt with anyways, seem to be, we got 1 or 2 extra properties. If one of those properties stops paying rent, you're going to start feeling it very hard. And if you're in the tenant side and you're thinking to yourself, well, you know, you've leveraged yourself. This is your problem. You know, you've taken this risk. You knew what the risks were. And why am I responsible for paying your mortgage?
Yep.
Remember that this is a relationship, right? Like you're moving into this place as a handshake to say, "Hey, I'm going to pay your rent. Let me live in your let me live in your home." There's a two-way street. It's not just I get it for free because I'm a tenant.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
No, it's just regular practice. Be a good person and have common sense when doing this stuff.
Yep.
You know, don't have. I think it's so difficult when people have these arms up and ready to go and ready to fight a landlord, because that's where the disputes come from. Because then the landlords start pulling some weird stuff. And don't get me wrong, there are some scummy landlords out there.
100%.
Yeah. And those people, but that's the thing, is like it's the process of dealing with these disputes that just needs to be sped up.
Yes, clarified and a lot more simplified
Yeah.
of what can and can't happen, because you get these scary situations. There was a shooting less than a year ago where the landlord killed the 2 tenants and himself.
Yes, I do remember that.
Right, over a dispute. And you know, we're speculating here, but could the landlord-tenant board sped up the process and reach a resolution sooner? I don't know, but it's crazy. We're right here in our own backyard. These things are happening.
Yeah.
This is not some foreign country with different rules. This is here in Ontario.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to like flip the script a little bit more. So we talked about what would happen if you have a cell phone. We know what happens if you're a tenant and you don't pay. Pretty much nothing. You just, carry on your process. What happens if you own a property and you decide to not pay your mortgage to the bank?
Right. That's it. You get 90 days, and then that's so long.
They're listing it on the market, power of sale, or whatever the terminology is, and they're foreclosing on you.
They're foreclosing on it. Yeah. You don't get to take it to a board and ask for more time and say, I'll do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, nope, sorry, you didn't pay. That was the agreement.
Right.
See you later.
So the banks and the telecom companies have these very easy resources to rely on should the person on the, call it the tenant side, isn't paying their requirement, yet us as landlords, or the city, or people in the city as landlords, have very little recourse to go off of. And so what I think is, if I was king of the landlord-tenant board, I would say, all right, you missed 2 payments in a row, eviction notice. If you missed 3 in a year, eviction notice. I'm sorry, if you can't make payments above and beyond that, there needs to be something in place, a stop file in place that allows some type of fairness to the landlord, where this doesn't bleed out forever. Because what we're going to find happening is, I don't know how this guy went 4 years paying a mortgage with the tenant not paying it.
Yeah. Right. That's the thing. Cause that's it. You're bleeding dry. It's just keeping the house is a difficult thing. Right. I've heard a story. I remember a little while ago on the news where a lady did an off-market deal and she assumed a tenant and she was going to move in. So she sold her house, purchased a new one, and the tenant locked up and said, "No, I don't believe you." And she was literally homeless, like until at that news time it was still happening. So however long that was, but I didn't see a resolve come to fruition yet.
It's crazy. It's crazy. They're literally, some people can go as far as holding your own house that you own and pay a mortgage on hostage, and you have a very weak system to rely on to get your house back, your multi-million-dollar asset.
1,000,000%.
Yeah, Rogers can throw you into cell phone jail if you miss 2 payments. And the banks can take your house like that for even less.
Yeah, it's absolutely brutal.
There needs to be a little bit of fairness. If we have these systems in place for other types of industries, there's got to be a closer look what could happen with landlords and tenants.
Yeah, 100%. Can I bring one up? I'm going to bring one up that I think is... and this kind of all it kind of all ties in, but can we talk about what happens when a house is sold? Because I think this is such a bad area. Like this is such an area where big risk gets taken, and I think it causes issues when it comes to supply, because if a place is tenanted. So for those that don't know.
Let's set it up. Yeah. So we got a house for sale with a tenant in it.
Yes. For those that don't know, if you're a tenant and you get the notice from your landlord to say, "Hey, I want to sell my place," You don't technically have to move out.
Correct.
You can kind of hang tight and say, okay, I'm going to be here. If you sell it, then we can kind of take the process from there. Okay, cool.
Assuming you're on a month to month. Let's just add that as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're not in the middle of a year.
Month to month, yeah.
So you're the tenant and you start seeing showings come through. All of a sudden you get notice that an offer came through and hey, maybe it's time that this place is officially going to be sold. Okay, cool. Now you have this moment where you're going to have probably 90 days of closing, let's just say, and the landlord's going to start serving you your notice to say, hey, these people, technically speaking, if it's an investor or if it's a company, you don't have to leave. You can still kind of park there. You only have to leave if the owner,
the new buyer,
the new purchaser comes in and puts their claim that they're going to be living there as their primary residence.
Correct.
So, but you get notice of this as a tenant. Right in that notice, you also get this disclaimer that says, hey, just a heads up, if you don't believe them, you don't have to move. Simply just file to the landlord-tenant board and we'll resolve this dispute. We'll take it to a hearing and we'll figure things out. This is okay, I understand that if you want to take it as a dispute, absolutely. If you think some fishy business is happening, do it. But you can't expect that a 9-month period go by and a buyer who probably put in a clause that said, if the tenant's still there, I don't want this property, be around in 9 months when that hearing finally comes to fruition. So this tenant now that's in there is jeopardizing the entire sale to the point where I think myself and a lot of other agents say, if the property's tenanted, I would say, let's proceed with extreme caution. In fact, if we're dealing with a big inventory situation, then let's not even show it.
Yep. Let's skip this altogether.
The risk is way too big.
Absolutely.
Why do it? So in turn, when I originally brought up the point of we need sections of the landlord-tenant board to focus on more urgent matters, I think this needs to be an entire piece of the landlord-tenant board that gets dealt with within at minimum 30 days. This needs to be a quick turnaround. This can't be in 9 months of a hearing waiting to be. This is somebody's asset.
Yep.
On both sides.
Yep.
One person selling it and one person buying it. This is huge in terms of the money that's being passed around.
Yep.
And we can't just let it up to be like, okay, well, we'll see what happens in 9 months. So yeah, I think this is a huge one that can be, that could just be, we need a dedicated section for this. That is a quick turnaround, fast approaching thing that can get these things resolved and cleaned up quickly.
And I like your ideas on that because it's so easily to prove the situation. You have a contract, an agreement of purchase and sale,
yep.
A deposit would have been given. Like there is very fundamental steps that have been taken to prove that I have in fact sold my house to a third-party person.
Yep.
That third-party person has signed a, what's the word I'm looking for? Declaration
yep.
that they're going to be moving in there. And hey, if you want to increase the fines, if they lied about them moving in there, I'm all on board for that.
Yeah, 100%.
But if they've provided all that type of stuff, I don't see the dispute.
Yeah.
The rules set up for a reason. There shouldn't be this, but you know what? Hang around a bit longer until we hear your case.
Yeah.
The proof is there. That should be an absolutely expedited thing. And I think there should be a cap on like 60 days. Within 60 days of me filing, I need my case heard.
Absolutely. Yeah.
60 days is, I think, still too long, but better than the 9-year plus that we're dealing with.
Yeah, the 9 month of whatever's going to happen. Yep. Yeah, because it's brutal. So I'll do a quick run of what it looks like on both sides. If you run through the proper RTA situation now, or the landlord-tenant board situation now. So on the seller side, sale happens and the buyer then backs out because the tenant never left. So the buyer probably put in a little clause that, like I said, that said, hey, we're out at this point. Then it takes the 9 months to get the hearing heard. The hearing heard finally comes in, and the hearing finally comes in. You sit with the landlord-tenant board, and they say, "Okay, got it. The tenant never left, but this guy was moving in. Do you still have the buyer around?" No, the buyer's not around anymore. Okay, cool. Come back when you have another buyer, and we'll do this again. And you're just in a loop. You're basically being prisoned to just hold on to the property.
Your $1 million asset has been held hostage and is literally being decided by the landlord-tenant board.
Yeah. It's brutal.
This needs to be challenged. This cannot keep happening. It's insane.
Yeah. And on the buyer side, the risk comes like this. So I've had these conversations quite a bit in the past because I will push people away from tenant properties if we don't need to go there. So you have a clause. So as a buyer, you want to protect yourself. So you put a clause that says, I have the right to retain my deposit and get out of this deal if the tenant is not vacated by closing day. Mm-hmm. Or maybe if you have something that can be done where you can extend the closing day until the tenant gets removed.
Evicted, yeah.
But here's what happens is the closing day finally comes 90 days later. So you've purchased, you're ready to go, you got your plan all to move in. 90 days later comes, the tenant hasn't vacated. Now you got to say, okay, do I just remove myself from this deal and start the process all over again? Or do I try to push this out? Because I know it can take up to 9 months for any hearing to get heard. So I'm either going to wait another 9 months, or do I just cut this process clean and start a whole fresh process all over again?
Yeah.
Search process, which, you know, a lot of people's lives don't work that way. They're not that flexible where they can just kind of like, you know, whimsically look and shop and put deposits down of, you know, 5% of the purchase price. It's rough.
And there's a solution that's often suggested when these types of scenarios come up, which I think is incredibly unfair and needs to be looked at, and like a law against this: cash for keys.
Oh, right.
When I first heard this concept of cash for keys, that you've done everything the right way, you filed it, you have all your proof, and your tenant's still not leaving, the suggested resolution is make them a cash offer to leave.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that exists, they're going to be taking full on advantage of you.
Yeah.
I've heard figures as high as 80K.
Yeah.
What?
That's absurd.
Absolutely ridiculous that is the resolution you have. Throw a wild number at this tenant who's taking advantage of a home I own. I'm on the hook for with the mortgage company to get them to leave because we don't have a landlord-tenant board strong enough to efficiently and quickly reach our case. I'm getting hotter than these peppers right now. Because when you really start talking about it, you're like, who the heck would ever want to partake in this type of environment?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It makes it so, it would deter so many people. It's absolutely brutal. A situation like that, like there needs to be some type of, I don't know, maybe a cap in this situation, or like something that just like diverge people from doing this cash for keys situation, that like, or at least puts it a little bit calmer than just like any number.
Okay, sure. We could venture as far as in saying, you know, up to a max of 3 months of your rent,
right,
I'll give you to leave. We can say something like that. I still think that's unfair because you're specifically just trying to be a pain to get, not a pain, but you're trying to be an inconvenience to the situation just to get more money. I don't see why you leaving, if it's within my right and I've done everything the right way, I still have to pay you for that. That makes no sense to me.
No, really, the real resolution is we just need faster hearings.
We need faster hearings.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that we've now have this secondary fallback, you know, air quote system that we're recommending people do. I would never recommend someone use the cash for keys method because it just feels so dirty and wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
It's being taken advantage of in a pretty rough way.
Yeah. And then speaking of all this extra money, business and game. Now, if you're a landlord and you're renting out your place, did you know that you cannot ask for a security deposit?
Yes.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
Have you tried renting a car? A car.
Yeah.
A depreciating asset worth, call it on the high end, $100K.
Yeah.
Most cars that you rent are like the Ford Fiestas, and they're like 20,000, 30,000. Anyways, this is irrelevant. The process you have to go through to rent a car is, okay, we're not talking about renting a car in Sicily because we talked about that before, but you rent a car in Ontario, how stringent they are, the extra deposits you have to give, the security, the incidentals. I don't even know what that word means, but whenever you're renting something, it's like, incidentals. We're throwing an extra 5G hold on your card or something like that.
Yeah, hotels do the same thing.
Hotels.
Yeah.
The same form of renting a place. They have the ability to charge that to protect themselves.
Yeah.
But guess what? You as a landlord, zero.
No, you get zilch.
It is in fact said in the standard lease that you are not allowed to charge any type of security deposit.
Yes.
I think that is flat out wrong.
I agree with you. It's a weird one to remove. And if I'm putting myself in as a devil's advocate, I can see, you know, my thinking is, okay, if this was a point of contention that was just bombarding the realtor, the RTA, that was just like, there's so many disputes because it could be subjective, right? What's wear and tear and what's damage.
Sure.
I get why they just said, you know what, no more arguments. We're just not allowing this anymore. But at the same time, it's again, very one-sided.
There's no recourse for a landlord. And we could put a cap on it again. It doesn't need to be this unheard of number. It could be like maybe 2 or 3 months of the initial rent you pay. You have to pay that. You have to put that into an account as a deposit.
Right. Because
all we can collect now is last month deposit, and that last month gets applied to the last month.
Right.
So as a landlord, when your tenant's leaving in the last month, if that house is trashed, you have no recourse.
Yep.
Technically, you can go through the landlord-tenant process, but your tenant's gone.
Yeah.
How are you going to find them? Like, cool, you've created a system for it, but it's not effective.
Yeah. No, you start going into small claims court. At a certain point, you're like, this is no longer a landlord-tenant dispute because you're not my tenant and you haven't been for 9 months.
Yeah. Well, speaking on that, so let's say you do take either of those routes, you want to rent your place out to the next person. So this tenant A is gone, tenant B is coming. If the doors are damaged, the walls, the bathrooms, all that other stuff, that's going to take months to repair.
Right.
You don't have months to wait for a hearing, hopefully a resolution for the amount that you're seeking,
right.
Then doing the work, then you're carrying your place for months on end without any income coming in.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we need to have a round table discussion with like key policymakers, both on the same sides. Have some realtors, have some tenant board advocates, all that, and really come up with a better system. Because as we've hopefully made crystal clear, it's shit. It's dog doo-doo. It's so bad.
Well said. Yeah, absolutely brutal. And I do agree with you. I think damage deposits do make sense. I don't know why they're completely outlawed. It's just a way to and it also gives the tenant incentive to actually take care of the place. If they're holding something that's refundable, so long as, then it gives more incentive for the tenant. Because even with last month's deposit, what can happen is they just don't pay you on the 11th, when the 11th month crosses over to the 12th. And then you're just like, okay, I have your last month's rent now. Can you send me, because, you know what I mean? Because you've damaged my place. No,
they're gone.
Yeah, no, thanks. You can use my last month's rent. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Yeah, apply it to that and I'm off.
If you're holding something more than just the $200 key deposit, then you're in a situation where it's like, okay, I better not punch a hole in the wall. I better be careful with my dog or whatever the case, right?
Yeah.
You're just more incentivized.
And we could take a model from the car rental process. You know, that stupid little form they have you fill out where any dings or scratches, you could do something similar. You have a floor plan of the house. When you take possession, you and the landlord, the tenant and the landlord go through together. You mark off any pre-existing things, take a video, take photos, whatever you want to do. And when you give the place back, if there's new damages, I'm taking it from the deposit. This is a very simple solution that I think would give people, landlords, a lot more security to put their multi-million-dollar asset in the hands of a random stranger.
Absolutely. Yeah, I am on board with that. I think that's a change that needs to be readdressed instead of just kiboshing the whole idea.
Yeah. But zero is not a solution and unlimited is not the answer. But somewhere in between, a couple months is all we're talking about.
Exactly. And then this brings us into some muddy waters that I wanted to bring up.
Take us home, Joey.
So there's a couple of things. So there's always the question, and you might if you were listening to us and you were like, yeah, but sometimes people have to offer more than one, first and last months up front because competition is so heavy. Like, it's always landlords have been winning for so long, blah blah blah. I just wanted to address this because this is a weird gray area in the RTA that also I think personally needs to be addressed. At least some type of conversation about it. So if you've been in the rental market and you've been shopping and when hot months come through, it's really difficult to find a place. Or if you're a newcomer, or if you're trying to basically make up for something that might be falling short in your application, your supporting documents, agents will a lot of times advise you that, listen, to give us edge on the competition, what you might want to do is offer up more money than first and last upfront. Mm-hmm. This is the weird gray area that exists because, yes, you're right. Deposits are not allowed. No damage deposit, no pet deposit, does not matter. You can't just hold money up in the air until the lease comes to an end. But as a tenant, you can offer to basically prepay rent. Mm-hmm. In advance, and this gives you the edge on the competition.
Gives the landlord a little bit more security. There's a little bit more skin in the game.
Yes. So I just find this an odd one because people get really uncomfortable about this. I don't personally love asking tenants to do it. If I can avoid it, I will always avoid it if I can.
Yep.
But it does give you the edge sometimes, and it makes, in my experience, it's made the biggest impact, more than increasing rent even, because it's just security that the landlord can hang on to.
And that's proof that this is what landlords are looking for, just a little bit more security to feel comfortable with giving up a property to a random person.
Yeah. So it's, I just kind of wanted to point this out because a lot of people think that you can't be doing this is against the law, but it kind of isn't because the gray zone that exists is you can't have a damage deposit, but you technically can prepay for rent.
Yes.
So as long as it's used for your rental periods, and as long as it kind of works in a sense where if you're defaulting on utilities, it'll get used for utilities first, and then the rest will be applied to rent. There's a whole system but it is a gray zone. And I actually called the landlord-tenant board because I wanted to ask a couple questions because
you got through.
I did, yeah. For those looking, the number that's on the standard lease form, if you dial that and you just hit 0, you can get somebody.
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, they're not patient people.
Yeah,
they're probably dealing with a bajillion calls a day.
Yeah, and I want to separate our frustration with the way the act is set up and the people working there, because I feel like they're probably under immense amount of stress and pressure. And this is not a dig at any of the workers.
Yes,
it's more the system that we're all forced to work under. So it's the framework needs to be looked at, not the people.
Not the
people
employees.
are great. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I commend them, because anybody taking that position, you have to have some
thick skin.
You have to have some thick skin. And
thankless job.
Yeah, man, 100%. So thank you for those who answered my phone calls over the last little bit. But I wanted to clear it up. And this was the thing. I asked this exact question. I know it says very clearly in the RTA that you can't have a damage deposit, but if a tenant offers to prepay rent, is that okay? The answer I got back, and this is after them being so certain with a bunch of other questions that I asked, then I got this one, and it was like, can't answer.
Can't answer it.
Yeah, you got to go through legal, get legal advice on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So just so you guys know, this is a true gray area that will have to be heard if you want to try to dispute it.
Yeah, because you know what the legal advice is going to tell you.
What's that?
Go to the landlord-tenant board.
It's going to ping pong back and forth.
There's no accountability there because it's not clearly defined what should and could happen there.
No.
And what I often see when I'm representing landlords is the tenant will submit a clause that states the tenant voluntarily offers 6 months of rent.
Yep.
That voluntarily word seems to be the key to making it...
To protecting the landlord.
To protect the landlord. So it's not as if the landlord has directed you to do it. You as tenant has voluntarily decided to make your offer more attractive by offering that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a key conversation. When I first started in this world, what I had learned was, they can't ask for it. Landlords are not allowed to ask for it, but you can offer it.
You can offer it.
Yeah, which is such a convoluted, because when you have those conversations, there's some agents that are just straight up like, you need to offer this much. And there's also other agents that try to beat around the bush, but you kind of get the hint that you're like, okay, listen, this is what it's going to take to get us there.
Yeah.
And you're relaying that to the person who's been probably outbid 4 or 5 times or been turned down 4 or 5 times. And now it's like, I just want the damn place.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does come down to that. The competition is fierce. And like, again, as long as it's treated in a sense of it's being put towards rent and not held as a deposit that's just going to be carried and given back to you at the end.
Yep.
I think that's the key difference between the two.
And I get the landlord side of it too, because I'll get, especially at Treviso, there's an international school there. So we got a lot of international students applying for rentals there. And it's like, you don't have a job. You don't have any credit score. You've only been to the country for a month or less.
Yep.
What recourse do I have if you don't pay? I would love to give you the opportunity to rent this apartment.
Right.
But I have no recourse whatsoever. And oftentimes the agent representing will say, well, we can give you a large sum of money or the whole amount up front. So the fear of you not getting rent paid is alleviated.
Right.
And as a landlord, of course, you're like, well, that solves that fear, because I know if you don't pay, it's 9+ months at the board.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're covering yourself until, it's security, and it does work. It works. Unfortunately, it's the most effective way that I've found anyways.
Yeah.
$50 extra or $100 extra doesn't do the same job as that.
Because it means nothing if you can't pay it.
Right.
But if you've given me, 8 months to 12, whatever months you've give up front, at least I know I have that towards future problems. And pro tip for landlords, if someone is offering you those months up front, you want to apply it to the later months. So from months 6 to 12, you don't want it up front, because that shows their ability to pay the first 5 unpaid months.
Yep.
And if they're not paying that, at least you have your fallback funds to rely on.
Awesome. And then I'm going to do a pro tip for the tenants.
It is, Joey.
If you are writing a clause in that does allow this to happen, make sure that you're stating very clearly in that clause that it is for the first term of that rental period. You don't want to walk in and offer a year up front or something like that and then you give your keys, or you take your keys and all of a sudden start paying rent. You want to make sure it's very clearly stated that I'm giving you this sum. It's going to be used at the top. I'm just talking about a full year up front. Or if not, it's going to be used for the last, let's say you offered 4 months up front. The first month of this total is going to be this. The last 3 months is going to be used for the first term only. Yep. If this moves into a month-to-month tenancy, you'll keep this much, and we're going to move forward from that point on.
Yeah. Clarifying all this in your offer to lease is crucial.
Yeah.
Working with a gem like Joey will ensure that happens correctly.
I was going to say, just make sure you're checking your agents. And obviously, I have this pre-written that I put into all my things to make it extremely clear so there's no confusion where the money's going.
Communication is key, as is always the case.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I feel lighter.
I think, lighter? Yeah. I feel I'm still pretty heated.
I'm still heated. Should I try my dad's hot sauce?
I think so.
You think so?
Let's end on this.
Let's end on a high?
Yeah, let's end on a high.
All right. Might have to consume your water. I'm not good with heat, I will say. I'm not, my tongue's not as, I'm not good with heat. That's all I'm going to say.
I've got you.
Okay, I'm just going to put my mic down. Is there anything you want to say while I put my mic down? Maybe do some shout outs?
Yeah, shout outs. Shout out Midnight Cookie. Shout out Midnight Cookie and their soft serve ice cream. Shout out the X. Shout out the X because I'm going to convince Molly to come through and see the rest, mainly for wrestling.
We can go together if you like.
Ooh.
I could tell you what night. I'm a big fan. I didn't say this, but if you go after, I think 5 p.m., the price drops to things like $10 or $15.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're looking to save a few duckaroos.
After 5 p.m.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely cheaper after 5. The amount I'm not 100% clear on, but it does get cheaper after 5. You think this is an ambitious amount?
No, you're all right.
I think this is an ambitious amount. I think I should have half of this. How about that?
All right, you're good. You're good.
All right, Dad, this one's for you, Rock God. Oof.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's got more of a kick this one.
I'm watering up. Oh, I burped. Oh my God. Good flavor.
Right?
Great flavor.
Flavor's amazing.
Okay, not that hot.
No, it's got a good punch. It's more than the last one for sure.
I'm crying.
Literally a tear coming down your face.
Oh God. Little salty?
Yeah.
Little salty?
It's got a bit of salt.
No, that's my tears I'm tasting. The salt is from my tears.
Actual tears coming down your face.
That's good.
It's delicious.
That's good.
Yeah. No, I'm going to be polishing that. I eat hot stuff literally every day. This is going to be a part of that rotation.
I'm double-siding it. Is my face red?
A little bit. Yeah, you're coming in.
My nostrils are clear though. Meditation's going to be so good tonight. Well, shout outs. You shouted out the X. Shout out Jerry the King Lawler.
Yep.
Shout out Midnight Cookie. Shout out Captain Towels of Real Rush Fishing Adventures.
100%.
There is a couple weeks left if you want to go salmon fishing in Lake Ontario. Where I didn't even drink water.
No, you didn't. Yeah,
you're all right.
Yeah, you're in it. You're in it.
Dad.
Other than the tears.
Well, I was crying like a little boy, but nonetheless. Real Rush Fishing Adventures, couple weeks left. And if you do catch a fish over 32 pounds, you're going to be in the running for a $50,000 cash prize.
Love it.
We catch the biggest fish of the week. It's a $10,000 cash prize. And the top 20 fishes every week win a variety of prizes. I think I'm delusional. I'm out of my body right now. Episode 63.
Episode 63.
It's a hot one.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Thanks for listening to the Toronto Livings Real Estate Podcast. You could find more information on how we work over at torontolivings.com. Be sure to sign up for our newsletter to get price reports from over 150 different neighborhoods in the city each and every month.
If you got any value, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you made it this far, thanks for listening.